Hey guys, it's Cassie here with So Lucky Designs. In today's tutorial, we're going to be making this really cute little in the hoop bunny. Super tiny. Isn't that adorable? And he is made to go in this little 3D Easter basket with this pocket. Super cute for t-shirts or a pillow, something to go in a kid's Easter basket. So for today's tutorial, we're going to need a hoop. I'm using a little small 4x4 hoop, some tearaway stabilizer. You're going to need fabric to make your little bunny out of. I prefer minky or fleece. If you use minky, just pay attention to the direction that your pile is going and make sure you keep the smooth going down the way it's supposed to go. You're going to need a pair of scissors. You don't have to have these, but I highly recommend them. They're hemostats. They're an invaluable tool for turning stuffies, especially the little small ones like this. A seam ripper and a needle and thread, just a little hand needle, some little sewing thread on it is perfectly fine, and then something to stuff your softie with. I use this cluster stuff, but you can use polyfill, pellets, rice, beans. Some people even do like a weighted pellet and then do herbs or something like that to make it smell nice. So the choice is yours. First thing you're going to want to do is run your placement line. I've already done that to save us some time here. And then you're going to cover that with your first piece of fabric, right side facing up. So you can tape this in place, or you can use something like what I use is 505 spray. I'm just going to cover our placement line here. The next thing we're going to do is run our tack down. Okay, after the tack down is done, the next thing it's going to do is just the details, the ears, the nose, the mouth. So I'm going to run that and then I'll be back as soon as that's done. Okay, now that your details are done, your bunny should look like this. So the next thing you're going to want to do is put your next piece of fabric right sides together. So it's going to go down just like this. The wrong side of the fabric should be facing you. And we're going to tape that in place. Then we're going to run our last line to hold it all together. And we're going to take it out of the hoop. You're going to take your tape off and your tearaway stabilizer off of the back. I also try to take the stabilizer out of the bunny. It just makes it easier to turn these, especially these little bitty guys, when you don't have all this bulk in the way. I use my seam ripper and just go around the ear like this and get that little bit of stabilizer out of it as well. Okay. Now you're going to want to cut it out from this side so that you can see the opening that's left for turning, because you're not going to want to cut real close to that. You're going to want to leave yourself a gap, or a tab rather, to turn with and to close him up. So we're just going to cut this guy out. I try to get as close to the stitches as I can without cutting them, especially around the ears, because this little guy is so small. The ears can be tricky enough to cut around without any added unnecessary fabric left there. Now if you use a different material like cotton or something to make this little guy, I don't recommend cutting this close because cotton can fray. Okay, I'm just going to cut it off the bottom like this because you don't need quite that much of a tab down there. For those of you that don't want to fool with turning these little guys, we are going to include a felt version for you to make. So to turn the body out, I use my hemostats and I just insert them into the opening here, just like so, all the way up to the top of the head, and then just push that seam into your hemostats and then close down. I hope you guys can see that. I can't see the camera from here. I'll do that one more time just in case I got out of the frame there. So we're going to put our hemostats into the opening, like so, and then just grab this seam here right between the ears and close down on your hemostats, and then just slide him up and over just like that. And you can use these because they have a dull tip on them. I don't really worry about pushing through the seam there. We always use a triple bean stitch to close everything up with so that your seams are reinforced really well. Now to get the ears of this little guy, what I do is I'll grab an ear, well, they can be a little tricky sometimes to separate. And then just push up to the head. This does require just a little bit of patience to turn these right side out. They are so worth it, super cute. Usually once you get it lined up, they go pretty easy. You can also use a pencil eraser end. They make a thing called a turning dowel. You can use those. You don't want to use something like scissors or a seam ripper or anything with any kind of a sharp end. You want to use something with a blunt end, and just take your time. A lot of times I'll turn these while I'm watching TV at night or something like that. Like I said, these take a little bit of patience to turn. There we go. Now, once I get the ear to this point, what I like to do is open my hemostats up inside just a little bit and then kind of scratch around the edges to get that minky fur out of the seam there so that it kind of fluffs up a little bit. And then do the other side. I think this is the most time-consuming part of the whole project here. Okay. Now once you have your little guy turned out like this, you're going to take your finger inside and just, what I like to do is run around the seams just to make sure everything is out where it should be. And then we're going to stuff it. Doesn't take a whole lot of stuffing because these are super small. So I just start with a small amount and add to it a little at a time. Now one thing I will do is use my hemostats and kind of push some of this up into those ears. Just like that. Now you can stuff these super tight, or if your child or the child you're making this for likes them a little softer, you don't have to put as much in it. The trick with stuffing is to try not to put too much in it at once. It goes much faster and much smoother if you do just a little at a time and then get that positioned where you want it. Alright. So once you have the amount of stuffing that you want in your bunny, you're going to turn him over like this. And you're going to turn these tabs in just like this. I'll just turn them down and in. And if you don't want to hand sew these up, you can always run a little bit of hot glue, or they make a product called Fabric Tack. I think I've got a bottle of that here somewhere. I can show you. Fabric Fix, actually, is the name of it. They sell it at Hobby Lobby. You might be able to pick it up at Walmart or Michael's as well. But you can use this and then just put a little clip or something on it to hold it until it dries. What I like to do is just use a little needle and thread and just stitch it up. When you use minky fabric, you can use a whip stitch. When you use cotton or something like that where your stitches won't be, I'm sorry, you can use a ladder stitch. When you use cotton or something like that, you're probably going to want to use a whip stitch. And whenever I start, I always run it back through my thread and get a good anchor point. And then just keep your tabs turned into your little bunny. And then just finish stitching it closed. And you've got your little pocket baby. Thanks for watching.